So we're gonna talk about some things to make this a little less scary for you, okay? Because I assure you, they are way more terrified of the interview than you are, okay? Think about it. Your applicant is terrified. They need a job. They are way more scared of today or that interview date that you could ever be, all right? So I always keep that stuff in the back of my head. First, I want to introduce you to some stats. So the great thing about Great Clips is that we track everything, right? We've got numbers out the wazoo. So same thing in the home office. We know applicants. We know where they're coming from. We know the month they're coming in, the year we track them, where, right, people are applying through. So here's some really good news for you, if you can see this. So I want to point out, we have tracked through 2017. 2022 was the highest number of applicants we have ever received since 2017. Okay, so 2019 has kind of been our highlight year. That was our heyday before COVID, right? So everything we've kind of compared to that date, even though the world is not quite the same, right? So in 2019, we had 215 applicants for the year, okay? In 2022, we had 298 applicants for the year, right? We are tracking the same. In 2023, January, we've had a higher number of applicants this month than we've had any January ever. So this is great news for you guys, right? Awesome. Okay, so some other stats. What we know. McRae ended last year, 2022, or excuse me, McRae ended 2021 with -8 hires. So what does that mean? -8 hires, that means we lost 8 more people than we hired in 2021, right? We hired 75 and we lost 83. McRae ended 2022 with +7 hires. What does that mean?
We had more than we.
Yes, we hired 7 more people than who we lost. So we hired 70, we lost 63. So although we have hired a bit less, we have not lost nearly as much, right? So that tells me through these numbers, some of our retention efforts are working, okay? Some of what you're doing in the salon is working. We can literally see it here in these numbers, okay? Here's my favorite stat. Fourth quarter 2022, which is October, November, December, okay, was the only quarter in 2 years that had 3 consecutive months of positive staffing numbers. So what happened in that quarter? Retain them? Yes. What else? What happened in October, November, December of 2022?
We got a raise.
The holidays. There's more money, yes. What else? Olivia?
You guys started interviewing.
The managers started interviewing. Okay? That's a big deal. And so I thought to myself, yeah, okay, it could be holidays. Sure, absolutely. People want to make a little bit more money for Christmas. Totally. Yes, you know, we have got a higher average effective wage. Sure. All of those things definitely play a part in those numbers, 100%. But what didn't happen last year, or what didn't happen in 2021, that happened in 2022 is you, right? You started hiring. And that is because, no fault of the GMs, but they are pulled in a million different directions, right? They have 1,001 things on their to-do list. And they, although our superstars cannot be everywhere all at once, right? So the difference here is you guys got them in quicker. That's the difference. So we want to talk about that further. So what we know moving forward, we have to know where we're at to know where we want to be, right? Total number of days from first contact to interview average. What does that mean? I am their first point of contact. The first person they speak to on the phone is typically me. So total number of days from me speaking to them to their interview, okay? The average for 2022 was 4.6 days. So that is, hey, I've talked to you on the phone and then the GM has talked to you, they've set up an interview with the managers, and by the time those people get there, here we are, it's been 4.5 days, okay? Now, total number of days from first contact to first shift in the salon average in 2022 was 14.6 days, all right? So, my goal for 2023 is we've got to shorten those times. Why? Yes, ma'am.
Would that play into like them putting 2 weeks notice in for their old job?
Yes, that plays a part in that for sure. Now, we can only do so much about that, right? We can only do so much about somebody putting in a 2 weeks notice somewhere else. Where we can make the most difference is in this first number, right? So we can for sure reduce that 4.6 days. My goal is 2. Okay, I expect that there will be some that can't get in because of work or childcare or a million other things. But there will be some that can come that day, right? Or that walk in and you interview them, okay? So this, we can affect that change, but this number, interview dates, is where we can really affect some change, okay? I'm gonna tell you why this is important. So obviously we know we have some goals for 2023, like 190 floor hours per week, right? How do we get there? Staff, all right? So getting to these goals, getting to where you want to see your salon is getting staff in, and the easiest way to do that is to get applicants quicker in your salon. Now, they're in the interview quicker, but most importantly, they are physically working in your salon quicker, okay? Because any amount of time we leave them to not be in our salon, they're going somewhere else. And this is the same thing that GMs and I have talked about at length. Because I was a student once, or I was looking for a job once, and although I find Great Clips to be an incredible company, I'm just looking for a job, okay? I'm not trying to get a job at Great Clips, I'm trying to get a job. And so I've applied to Great Clips, and I've applied to Supercuts, I've applied to Sport Clips, and then Sally's Beauty down the road, right? I've applied to all of those places. So being fast about this is very, very important, okay? So all of these things that we're gonna talk about in this interviewing section are part of the way to get there, okay? Applicant. What does a very well prepared applicant look like to you?
Well dressed,
Well dressed,
on time.
on time,
Excited looking.
happy smile. Yep. The tools should be with them, yes. So every time I speak to an applicant on the phone, here's my spiel, right? Okay, great. When you're called into the salon, here's what I'm gonna need you to bring. I'm gonna need you to bring a copy of your active cosmetology license. I'm gonna need you to bring your tools to work on a mannequin. And then I'm gonna need you to bring at least 2 references for us to call. Thank you, looking forward to it, right? They should be there looking the part, personality shining, and prepared with, at the very least, some cutting tools. At the very least, they need to prove to you, yes, I'm an active cosmetologist, right? Because we've run into that before, haven't we? Oh, I lapped that, right? So it's not gonna work, okay? What does a prepared manager look like?
Ready with the paperwork.
Yes. Yes, all very good. So they're interviewing us as well, right? Because they've applied to 5 other spots, and we're trying to get them in like this, okay? So they've probably been maybe on another interview or so, and they're trying to make that decision. So they are also interviewing us, and we wanna make sure this onboarding is as smooth as possible for them, okay? And part of that is us being prepared. So that is, hey, prep your salon, right? You should have those paper applications ready and printed to go for them to go ahead and start filling out when they come in, right? You should have a clean salon because nobody wants to work in someplace dirty, period. You should alert your team. Hannah does this with her group. You let your team know when you have an interview coming in. Why?
So they can have good attitudes and show friendly environment.
Welcome.
Yes,
First impression.
right, because what you don't want to happen is like, right? You want to alert your team because transparency is important, and you want your team to be welcoming to them. Oh, hey, welcome to Great Clips, nice to see ya, right? That is a big judge of character. If I'm an applicant walking in, I want to work with friendly people, right? Yep. So this one's hard for you guys because you're busy, right? I get it. You're busy, you've got this whole team counting on you, you've got customers rolling in, but it is imperative that you set aside the time to really work with this person, right? Because you're the decision maker here, and you need to make this decision if they're right for your team, okay? It is on you. So set aside the time to really talk to these folks. And then really have a space set up for this interview. That is really important. If you're gonna have them work on a mannequin, have that mannequin ready. If you're gonna put them in the office to have this conversation, make sure your office is clean and organized, okay? Those are the basics. So, what are the characteristics of a good candidate? Availability, personality, what else?
Willingness to learn.
That's a big one.
And if they're gonna fit in with your team.
That's a big one. Yes,
Takes direction well.
okay, great.
Shows passion for
Loves
their
what they do.
profession.
That's right. Now, what are characteristics of a good employer?
Shows up on time.
Say what? Takes direction well, yeah. Yeah, so,
Good listener.
good listener, prepared. They are gonna be there on time. What we don't wanna be is like, I'm so stressed out, we're so short staffed. Right? That's what we don't want to happen, okay? That's what, cause me, I'm like, oh, no, thank you, okay? Right? We need to be personable. We need to be leading the pack. We need to be everything we want, right? Okay. Miss Olivia. Look how we put their faces up there, isn't that right? Miss Olivia, what are your favorite questions to ask an applicant and why?
Well, I always like to close my interview with asking them, if they could be an animal, what animal would they be?
And why is that?
It just tells me a little bit about their personality, their perspective, if they're a leader or follower, or what, you know, depending on what kind of animal they choose. It's just that out of the box thinking kind of question.
Mm-hmm. What else?
I definitely asked them about their availability.
Mm-hmm.
I use their, application to gather a lot of my questions in the beginning.
Yes.
I review it, take a few minutes to review it, and then I'll go back and just kind of hit off that, and then let them do all the talking, and I'll let them kind of guide the conversation then.
Mm-hmm. What if an applicant says, you know what, Wednesdays don't work for me, I'm not available?
Dang it, no. You know, I mean, I try to work with them as much as possible, but to be fair with everyone, and so, you know, I mean, there's a compromise, or floater positions available, or, you know, just talking to them to find out more along the lines of why and what you can do to help them, cause they can help you in the long run.
What if an applicant says, you know what, Sundays aren't good, I go to church?
And that's another compromise, you know, I mean, cause it's like, we need you on Sundays, it's our busiest day, just explaining to them the why behind it, and, you know, maybe if they really can't, then discussing other options like floater position, or going over to a salon that may not have a bigger need on a Sunday, but just because they're not a fit at that salon for that person, and then they'd be a fit somewhere else.
Right. So I am a huge believer, and poor Kathy has heard me scream this word, I don't know, umpteen times and across our time together. Compromise is key, okay? So if the employer offers this and the applicant offers this, typically there's somewhere you can meet in the middle. Not always, not always. For example, we had a recent applicant, I can only work Monday through Friday, 9 to 2, no weekends. That is not an accommodation we can make, correct? We can't. Yeah, that just does not fit our business model and the scheduling for the customer's needs. Now, if someone says, I have a, strict religious belief, I need to be on church on Sundays, that's kind of, I said, okay, well, how about Sunday afternoons? Can you work Sunday afternoons, right? Yes or no? Can you work every single Saturday then? Right? So there's some compromise here, and what I don't want you to forget is, if that applicant doesn't work for your salon, don't kick them out the door, okay? Because they might work for someone else's salon. Their needs may be different, okay? They might be able to compromise where you can't. Jacksonville, you have to be able to work on the weekends, you have to pull Sundays, right? It's not such a big deal, and maybe Longleaf or something that can handle a Sunday, a slower Sunday, right? So please don't forget that. Amy,
Yes,
what do you look for in a technical interview?
the most important part of the technical interview is if they are coachable.
Yes.
If they are coachable, we can get them to where they need to be. As far as like their speed and what's, as long as they're accept the criticism
Mm-hmm.
and the feedback and are willing to learn, that's a free ball game.
What if an applicant comes in and they're not meeting Red Cliff standards yet? They're coming in with a 30-minute haircut time.
As long as we can get, if they're coachable, we can get them there. That's not a problem at all. And like I said, if they'll take the feedback and roll with it, yeah. Matter of fact, just a few minutes at a time, we had an interview, what day was it, Friday, Thursday? And she's done here 23 years, licensed in 3 states, and bluntly looked at us and said she does not know how to cut hair.
Oh, shit.
And you know what? She is starting Wednesday, cause we're gonna get her where she needs to be.
I love it. I can't wait to hear how that goes.
I'm so excited.
Well, and then part of that is why though, because she came,
Acceptable.
yep, she was coachable, she had an incredible personality, she fit in well with your team, right? The technical skills can get there. You are professional. Yeah, you know how to get people from point A to point B. Yes, ma'am.
On like, the flip side to what she said, how could you tell if someone like wouldn't be coachable? Like, what are some things to look for?
Great question.
Absolutely, when you're actually doing the technical, and you say, okay, well, obviously, you want a blunt cut, and you can physically see this mannequin's hair is, you know, and then you say, okay, well, maybe you over directed it, or did part it down the middle, and they say, oh, no, that's perfect. You know, I know what I'm doing, I've done it for 23 years. You see what I'm saying? They're not acceptable for the feedback to make it better,
Right.
you know?
And you've all probably gotten some of that.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry?
Watch their body language too.
They're standoffish.
Yeah.
Just to add to the weekend thing,
Yeah.
play on the side thing, we're in the service industry, right?
Yes, yes,
When,
Yes.
and I'm sorry, I said this bluntly, when the hell don't we work weekends?
right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I mean, I've never cut hair. I was a waitress for 10 years. I worked every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for 10 years, every holiday. I don't know where this is coming from, but I will let you know, just so you're aware, since you're interviewing. In the schools, there is a culture of, I'm not working Sundays, okay? So when someone says that to you, here's the spiel. James has told me this before. You need to tell them how much money they're gonna make on a Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Some of them just don't care about it.
they don't.
Well, they are not in the same position.
I've only
as
had
yours
one
truly.
person that had a contract with her church, and she did not work Sundays,
Okay,
but she
that's
worked
a-
every
that's church.
Saturday.
That's church though, that's not,
Yeah.
hey, I'm not working Sundays, that's a religious thing.
Yeah.
But they're gonna work every Saturday.
Now, she did come to the meetings on Sunday morning and then went to church.
Right.
She
That's
knew that
actually-
was a must.
That's where the difference between actually
Yes.
practicing religion
Right.
and just wanting to go to
And
church.
that's-
Correct.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that, where does it
Correct.
become practicing and
Yes.
going, yeah.
So, okay, those are great, thank you. All right, now, in the interview, really, most of the time, applicants will tell you everything you need to know with just a few questions, okay? So it's very important when you're sitting down with this person to let that applicant speak to you. Let them speak more than you speak, right? But when you get to speaking, okay, there's something that we can't speak, okay? So this goes hand in hand with the Title VII stuff that we had reviewed before,
How
so
old are you, Julie?
race, age, religion, color, place of birth, disability, marital status, children. So it's like, girl, you pregnant? No,
No.
right? Gosh, like, yeah, well, okay, so we're gonna cover that, yes, right? So we'll be like, oh, are you, over the age of 65? I'm not sure you can keep up. Right? So.
That's a death sentence.
Right.
Any restrictions I need to be aware of ahead of time?
Yes. Okay, so these are real life examples that have happened within mid-grade,
Really?
right? So you can't just think to yourself, that person's old, we're gonna pass them off to the next salon. You can't say, hey, you're pregnant or you plan on having kids, I'm gonna make the hiring decision to tell you no because I don't think you'll be available. Those are not questions you get to ask okay? Because you wouldn't want someone to say that for you, right? Okay, so we're gonna cover just a few of these. Kathy and Brandy both have some great, great sentences that I keep in mind. If you have to question yourself, just don't ask it, okay? There are other ways to do that. So, you know, are you married? Are you pregnant? Do you plan on having kids, right? Just don't. Just don't. Really, what you need to be asking here is, do you have any conflicts with the work schedule for this position? Okay? Yep. So, you know, if you're questioning how old someone is and their availability to work, as in, is this person 17 for a receptionist, you just need to simply say, are you over the age of 18? Okay? Not, are you over the age of 65? Okay? So, you don't need to ask somebody if they're disabled or have a chronic illness, okay? What you ask them is, can you perform the essential functions of the job, right? Okay, yes. All right. All right, I want you to shout it out. Can you ask, do you have reliable transportation?
Yes.
You sure can. You sure can. Now, you can't really ask, hey, do you have a car? Because it doesn't matter. Maybe their mama is their reliable transportation, all right?
I don't care how you get here, as long as you get me.
That's right. Can you ask, when did you graduate from high school?
No.
No. What is the appropriate question there?
You don't even have to ask. They're
Are you over the
cosmetologists,
age of
that's what
18?
Right.
How about, what do you like to do in your free time? You can ask that. You sure can. And that one's gonna tell you a whole lot of things. Okay? That one will tell you a lot of things. All right, so interviewing doesn't have to be scary. What we don't wanna do is put these people on trial, okay? Because it's just a conversation, just like you and I are having right now. I could be like, do you do this, do this, 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 this? No, that's not how we wanna do it. We wanna have an open, relaxed flow of conversation with these folks that they feel comfortable coming to work in our salon. Yes,
I also feel like a interview isn't just for us, it's for them as well.
is 100% correct. They are also interviewing you. Okay, Miss Ebony, and the manager of your choosing, you have a technical interview scheduled for 3 o'clock in the Great Cliff Salon. Would you like to do that?
I would love to do it.
We got about 5 minutes.
All right, Brittany, come on up.
Brittany, yay! She's so mad at me. I love you. Only because, Brittany, you have really done a fantastic job of hiring walk-ins immediately.
Great.
So before I get into the interviewing, if you look at, I actually went over to Brittany's salon to get this. She actually kept it how I left it with her. So on the clipboard, we have the brand measures, we have the vision and values, we have schedules. We have a holiday schedule, we have a week after the holiday, and then we have a summer schedule. So all of these things, and then a blank sheet of paper if they have any questions. They can write them down here, because they're gonna have questions about, what is that, what is that split shift, what is this? So, because it's on the application, we're asking them if they're able to do it. Not everybody knows what that is, so a blank sheet of paper so that way they can write down any questions that they may have. When they're looking at this packet here, as far as the brand, we want them to know that, hey, we have a system, we have our own vision and values here. So basically, this is like a repellent. If you don't fit in here, this is like a repellent. They're gonna immediately know that, hey, I can't live up to all this shit. You know? So it's good to, hey, this is what we're gonna do. This is us. This is who we are. So, that being said.
Before you start, can we get a copy of all their things
Yeah.
to put on our clipboard?
Yeah.
I got
Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna be interviewing Miss Brittany here. On her application, I'm gonna go fast because we only got four minutes, 30 seconds. So Brittany here, she lives in Jacksonville. She's applying at my Gateway Salon. Her schedule says her availability is 9 to 2 on Monday, 9 to 1 on, Tuesday. 9 to 5 Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. No weekend availability. Brittany wants to work 30 to 40 hours.
Oh,
That's so wonderful. And here,
That's all I'm saying.
Brittany has 1.5 years of clipper experience, and haircutting experience. No experience perming. Thank God we don't do any perms anymore. Yeah. Which I like doing them, but
Me too.
I didn't.
she's worked at Fantastic Sam's, briefly here, 6 months. She's worked at JCPenney as well, briefly. And she does have some references. So typically, whenever you get an applicant to submit an application, everything should be filled in. If there's a line, if they need to fill it in, date available, you have to fill that stuff in. Email, everything needs to be filled in. So you wanna make sure they fill everything in as much as possible. Again, she didn't fill out the split shift part because she doesn't know what a split shift is. And as far as the locations, she doesn't have a clue where the other locations are. So it's good to go through all of that stuff when you get into the interview. So thank you, Brittany, for coming in today. How are you?
I'm great.
I'm Evelyn. Nice to meet you. Great. So Brittany, I see you've been licensed for 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and what school did you attend again?
Carteret Community College.
How was that?
It's fine.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that program.
I don't know, it's cosmetology stuff.
Okay. But you get this type of stuff, this is real life. This is real life. So, with the program, do you feel like the program kind of helped you to be successful in your,
No,
no? Why? Why not?
I don't know how I got hair.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's okay.
Okay.
I'm sure you can learn. I'm sure. We talked this out before we got here. So Brittany, tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name's Brittany, and I don't wanna work weekends. Yeah.
Okay. Any more? Anything else?
I have dogs.
What do you like to do in your free time?
Hang out with my dogs.
That's great. What's your dog's name?
All of them?
No, she has like 20, so yeah, that's a lot of dogs. So, no, I'm just kidding. So, with that being said, I see here that you worked at Fantastic Sam's. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, they're rude.
Red flag.
How so?
They just don't care. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is that, your employers did not care about you as an employee.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, anything specific you care to share?
Well, they wanted me to work weekends.
Okay. And I'm guessing that's what made them rude.
Yeah.
That's fine. So, I see you have some experience with, sexy hair products as well as American Crew. Any more brands you have any experience with?
No.
Okay. So just so you know, we do have, Solutions by Great Clips here, so it's definitely a product line that we would want you to get familiar with, if we decide to bring you on board. So as far as, JCPenney, you were there for 4 months. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
They wanted me to work weekends.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, your availability, so I hear you saying about the weekends. Is there a particular reason why, you don't wanna work weekends?
I have dogs.
Okay. So, yeah.
Oh, shit.
So, I will share with you that on Saturdays and Sundays, we have some of the best customers that come into our salon. We are the busiest there, and this is where you make the most money. So I will say in our salon that you're applying here for today, we do about 175 customers just on Sunday. So I'm not sure, how you're looking to, go or what direction you wanna go with your career.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It's not really a lot of work.
Oh.
You have a team.
Mm.
So everybody kind of pushes in and does things together.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna actually demonstrate to you all with this availability, we see it's limited. Unfortunately, she is not gonna be a good fit for Gateway, for any of mine really.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna let Brittany down a little easy. Brittany, unfortunately, at this time, your availability does not meet the needs of my business.
Well, what if, I can work 9 to 5 Tuesday instead of 9 to 1?
That's great. So let me tell you what we're gonna do. I'm gonna keep your application on file,
Okay.
and if something changes with your availability or my needs, I will follow up with you.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm gonna give you a card.
Okay, thanks.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you, Brittany. That was great. Great job, guys. Okay, Miss Ebony, if you'll just hang out here with me for a minute. So, if you have questions on things to ask, what to do with technical, Jill's hiring playbook is phenomenal. It has every single thing on there you will need. Everything. Interview questions, technicals, how to contact references, all the things you need are here. Okay, real quick before I get Ebony again, and I am running on some short time. What does this employment application tell you? It's gonna tell you everything. Okay, it's gonna tell you the address. So this is a biggie because someone who lives an hour and a half away from your salon, the likelihood of them continuing to work in your salon for a long term is slim. Okay? This is also gonna tell them your availability, which is a big deal. Okay, we know. This also covers your butt when 90 days from now they're like, I can't work those hours. I told you I couldn't when I started here. Guess what? You've got this. All right, they're gonna tell you the hours they can work, which is a big deal, and they're gonna tell you their employment history, who you can call. Now you can ask these folks just about anything you want. It's up to them, the employer. They're really not supposed to tell you that much, but some of them will. Okay? And then their references. Call them. Okay? The job description. This should be given to every, yes ma'am,
I have a question.
yes.
Are you allowed to write on the application?
You are not.
No.
Don't write on the application, thank you. Get you something else, a little Post-it, a little side piece of paper. You can print off any of these lovely reference check forms from the hiring playbook, write on those, okay? This should be explained to every person coming in as a stylist. Job description. What is this gonna tell you? It's gonna tell you their qualifications. Okay, what are required? The ability to cut hair for an extended period and provide quality haircuts in a fast-paced environment. There's your line, all right? This is also gonna tell you the physical requirements of the job, which are important. These are the essential duties of the job. They have to meet these duties to work in our salon, okay? Any questions there?
And y'all do know that all the information is.
Yeah, but I want it just like that, highlighted.
You gotta do the work now.
Yeah. Yes, I can get you a highlighted version. Yes, ma'am. Okay,
You have to do the work now.
references. Here's what I don't want to hold us up. I don't want you to not give this person a yes or a no before they leave their salon because you're still calling references.
Okay?
Why is that?
So simply because you do not want this person to go across the street, down the street, around the corner to Sport Clips, Fantastic Sam's, J.C. Penney, if it still exists. Anywhere other than us, we want to be the #1 choice in employers. So that being said, don't wait to start calling their reference. Oh, I'll get in touch with you tomorrow. No, do not let them leave that salon until you've told them yes, no, maybe so, whatever.
Yes.
So that being said, when you're doing the technical, are y'all sitting down, chilling, looking, and seeing, oh, they comb 2 hairs? Cause you don't need to do that. If they can hold clippers and scissors, a comb, and you see their form, you know that, okay, they know what they're doing. Now, if they drop those clippers, you know, okay, all right, I don't think this is gonna work.
We don't need all that.
So, that being said, as soon as you see this applicant, start a consultation. If they are able to do their technical on an actual person, that will be great, because then you actually get the opportunity to see how they interact with our customers. Be it a customer from the lobby, or be it someone that they bring in. Once they do that consultation, if they're doing it on a mannequin, obviously, it's a mannequin. Mannequin don't get, they don't talk. So that being said, go ahead to the back, start calling those references. I like to start with one reference and one employer. If I can get someone on the phone between the two of those, we're rocking and rolling. If it's a great candidate, hey, I wanna hire this girl, let me see if I can get somebody on the phone. If you don't get anyone on the phone and you feel like, oh, I don't know what to do, call your GM. Say, hey, you know, I need some, hey, me and Brittany, we've gone through this. She's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know, I'm on the fence, there's some red flags. So, that being said, go with your gut. Go with your gut. Because at the end of the day, if you feel like, oh, well, I don't know, they seemed a little unreceptive to the feedback that you were trying to give them in one way or another, then don't roll with it. At the end of the day, that person might not be a good fit for your salon, however, they might be a good fit for another salon. So that's why it's good to, if you're iffy about it, call the GM. Offer the position contingently. Hey, I wanna contact at least one of your references, I wanna offer you a full-time position here with us. I'll get back to you in 24 hours. If you can't get a hold of somebody, okay, come on in and do your paperwork. At the end of the day, you feel good about that person, you feel like they're gonna be a good addition to your team, so roll with it. You have to have, you know, that power to do so. Y'all gotta work with these people every day. So, why not? So what's next? So how do you know if someone's a good fit? I mean, obviously we want people to be receptive to feedback. Positive, a team player, those are some of the things that you wanna look for. You know, they need to be well groomed too. I mean, you won't come in looking, they should look like a hairstylist. If you are iffy about them cutting your hair, then you should be iffy about them cutting on your customers, or anybody else for that matter. All right?
Thank you, Miss Ebony.
That's so wonderful.
So, if we have asked you, right, if home office has asked you to take ownership of your salons, right, if to run these salons like your own business, then you should have the right to interview and make those hiring decisions for your team, right? You make the call here. Are they gonna be a good fit? Can you donate the time to them? Do you have the capacity? Or all of these things, these folks are yours now. Okay, you take ownership of developing them and seeing if they fit right. So, some must-haves to work. First and foremost, that employment application has got to go to home office. We have to legally keep these employment applications on file for at least 1 year, okay? We have to. New hire paperwork. So, you verbally interviewed this person, you've done the technical interview, you've called the references, you are ready to make that hiring decision, you have given them a yes, go ahead and fill out that new hire paperwork. Don't let them leave the salon without doing it, okay? Now, you know you gotta send in a copy of that active cosmetology license. We cannot employ them without it. You have to send in forms of identification. This has been a holdup for lots of folks. We have not been able to get them cutting on the floor or officially hired because of it. These are in your packs. Gotta have it. There's lots of options now. You can just use a passport, right? Or you gotta pick two from these two columns. Look at this. Give them options to give things to you, okay? There's lots of options. Well, I don't have my social security card. Brandy informed me you can go to the Social Security Administration and have them write you a letter, and we can use that, okay? Don't let this hold you up. That person's gonna get ticked off and go somewhere who will pay them under the table, and they don't have to have a social security card. All right? We have to have the global. Yes.
When you tell them the things to bring to their technical interview, do you tell them to bring these things?
I do not. But when you make that hiring decision and you tell them, hey, I would like to hire you, go ahead and have them send those in as soon as possible, okay? So that will shorten that time frame from, hey, they're supposed to start in 3 days. Well, when they come in, at the very, very latest, they should have that with them. Really, it should be sent in before, okay? Yes?
Can you tell them to bring those things?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, tell them to bring it, just
I mean,
I hear them all the
I
time.
sure can.
Well, I was,
Cosmetology
you know,
license
feel
and
like,
2
hey,
forms of
if all
ID.
goes well, you know, we can go and do the new hire paperwork if you're, you know, blah, 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 blah.
I will add that
If
to
you
the
run these
lineup.
two things with you, you'll be able to get that done. at
I
the
sure
same-
can. Yep. So we need the global, right? Because that connects the point of sale to our system. That's how we pay them. We don't know the hours they work without it, okay? Part-time versus full-time, obviously the benefits will be different. Hire date versus start date. Can someone tell me the difference?
Hire date is the day I interviewed her and hired her. Start date is the first day of her job.
Woo! Hannah wins. Yes. Hire date is when you have made a verbal agreement with that applicant that yes, we are hiring you today, okay? Start date is when an applicant formally works in the salon and gets paid. Okay, that's two very different things, right? Because a lot of times we hire people and they never actually start.
Yeah.
A lot of times we hire people and it's a month before they start. Two very different things. When we have to do government reporting, if we have to do any of that, it is based on start date, not hire. But hiring date's important for tracking purposes for me. Okay? Obviously the salon they're gonna work in, and then here's a biggie, how did you hear about us? In the new hire packet, there is a line that asks it. We need to include it in the new hire paperwork, please. Because just because where they applied from can be different than where they heard of us from. Just because they applied through Indeed does not mean they heard of us there. Did they hear of us at a school visit? Did they hear about us from an ad, from someone else, right? How did you hear about us? So that way I know where to put our ad dollars, our recruiting dollars, right? Where we need to put our time and energy to find these folks. That tells me that, okay? And that helps me help you. Okay. Any questions?
Where did you wanna put the last thing you said at?
How you heard about us? There is a line on the employee information page of your new hire packet.
Okay.
There's 3 sections, right? Start date, school they came from, where did you hear about us?
Okay.
Okay, please make sure your folks are filling that out. Out of the 8 hires we've had this year, probably 3. Okay, I need that info, or else I'm just kind of hoping for the best, right? Anything else? Okay, y'all can do it. I know you can. Okay, and if you need any of these other paperwork things, Tracy